Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion. It is now Thursday, the 26th of September, 2019. Let's take a quick look at the satellite imagery here of the Atlantic Basin, and you can see lots of activity, as we would expect, with a favorable Madden-Julian oscillation. Overall conditions fairly favorable for development, and we've got this powerful Category 4 hurricane, Lorenzo, sitting out here over the main development region. The MDR is alive and well. A very strong hurricane, Category 4 now, and probably going to get a little bit stronger, and it's really going to pile up the ACE points, the accumulated cyclone energy, and that signifies that this is a quality system in that it is going to output a lot of energy. It's not just another named storm that only lasts for a couple of days. It will put some swells into the ocean. Maybe some of those could reach the islands over here in a few days, large ocean swells, and then some of them will go back towards the east here, towards the Cabo Verde Islands. And there's more activity trying to come off Africa that we have to watch in the coming days. But this area is about out of time. Usually by the end of September, the Cape Verde season, as we call it, that's what we used to call it anyway. I got to research this and figure out, why don't we call it the Cape Verdes anymore? Why is it Cabo Verde? I mean, I know that's just a different language, right? But whatever. We used to know it as the Cape Verde season, and that usually comes to an end by the time September ends, and we typically focus on this area of the Atlantic Basin for most of the development, and usually that focus is even more over here in the western and northwestern Caribbean Sea. We also have the very naked swirl left over here of Jerry and the ever-struggling Karen. Boy, I tell you what, you got to give Karen one of those participation awards. It tried hard. It's not going to make it. There's just too many factors against it. It's, meteorologically speaking, from strictly a meteorological perspective, you got to feel sorry for Karen. But it's great news for people on land. You know what? I don't even think the remnants of Karen will ever even make it back to the U.S. over here. We'll see. It doesn't really matter. The environment's going to set up to actually be very unfavorable for Karen in particular, even though, generally speaking, this area is favorable for upward motion or thunderstorm activity. And that's primarily starting to focus over here in the eastern Pacific. Shouldn't say starting. It's been that way. And I think that's where it's going to stay, somewhere basically in this zone right through here over the next 3 to 4 weeks or so, with the occasional development still coming out from the coast of Africa. Lorenzo, a product of that as of late. So let me just take a quick look at the modeling here. This is the Euro from today, the 12Z run. This is the entire Atlantic Basin, at least the North Atlantic. Here's the west coast of Africa over here, eastern parts of North America over here, South America down there, Ireland and the UK up here. There's the southern tip of Greenland, just to get your bearings. Here's Newfoundland over here. All right, so if I leave those land masses outlined for a moment, I think it's easy to see that's Lorenzo. We'll put an L there and a K here for Karen. These are the vorticity signatures at about the 5,000 foot level of the atmosphere. And this is the analysis from this morning. And if we go out 24 hours, 48, 72, 96, and 120, you see what happens. There's really no reflection of Karen left over here. Big time reflection of Lorenzo. And this is really, really going to pile up the ACE points here. Probably the single largest ACE producer of the season. This is the equivalent of, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, whoever, somebody big time in NBA basketball coming in and dropping a career high, or maybe a season high. This is career high would be like a single highest ACE producer. And you know what? As sharp as I am, I can't remember what the single highest ACE producing hurricane is. I know that Ivan is up there in the top 5, but you know what? There's such smart people out there. I bet you'll look it up, and I bet you'll comment on it in the comments today on YouTube. let me know. Like I say, I don't know everything. I'm got a lot to remember over these past 25 years of doing this. But for the season, the analogy stands that this will be, the equivalent of a NBA player, college player, whatever, scoring a season high. Because Lorenzo is going to come out scoring a lot of ace points here. And interest in the Azores Islands, which are right here. Should be watching what happens with Lorenzo. Could be a very powerful North Atlantic cyclone, kind of a hybrid between full-blown hurricane and this extratropical system as it starts to interact with the westerlies up here. I don't see any impacts at all coming up for Ireland or the UK over here in particular, as this big area of low pressure pinwheeling around up in the North Atlantic looks like it would kind of grab it and bring it in as part of it. A much larger weather system in training this heat and energy coming out of the deep tropics. So it's going to be fascinating to watch over the next several days. Now, remember that I have said that this area through here is likely to still remain favorable for the next several weeks. We see a little bit of an impulse here at day 5, sort of this Central American gyre, just overall lower pressure and general counterclockwise turning in the atmosphere, energy trying to focus. Maybe somewhere around here, the GFS sniffing something out, maybe 5, 6, 7 days out. Naturally, anytime, any hurricane season, this again is the region we would be watching. And even more so, we got this big, strong surface high that's going to come out over the northwest Atlantic, eastern North America, deep troughing out west, blizzard conditions up here in parts of Montana. I mean, wow, what a changeable, the battle of the seasons. Very, very strong, anomalous ridging over the east and anomalous troughiness out over the west with storminess and so forth, setting up for perhaps a very interesting winter pattern, but that's many, many weeks away. I happen to love summer, and we can hold on to that as much as possible. This is going to pile up the northeast winds, by the way, and probably warm the sea surface temperatures right against the coastline. So if you like going to the beach, the next week or so, it's going to be nice. In fact, my wife and daughter, who is not yet in school, my 4-year-old, we're all going to Wrightsville Beach tomorrow afternoon. I've already booked it and made an appointment, so to speak, because it's going to be nice, kind of a summery pattern, and that looks to stay in place as pretty good northeast winds set up here by day 5. But we'll have to see if energy tries to pile up in the northwest Caribbean Sea, and one sort of clue that could happen is, again, looking at the Madden-Julian oscillation. This is the MJO index, and this is the ECMWF. You have the ensemble prediction in there with all those yellow sort of angel hair pasta lines, and then you've got the operational in here, and I will highlight it with red just to show you what's what. This is where we are. This is the forecast in here, and look, it starts to double back and stay in phase 1, going all the way out into early October. This valid out to the 10th of October, the 1-year anniversary of Category 5 Hurricane Michael. And so when I see this hanging out right there in phase 1, that is definitely a signal that we have to watch over the next, and this is 2 weeks. So 2 weeks out. Now, granted, this part could change and it could just dive in towards the null phase or whatever, where there's not much MJO activity, but to see it kind of try to re-amplify here, and some of these members are very strong, and a few of them get over here to phase 2. The bottom line, this phase 1 and 2 pattern is one that we look for development in the Western Hemisphere, favoring off the coast of Mexico on the Pacific side and the Western Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic Basin side of things. Now, notice, and this is really interesting to me, there is no discernible MJO activity. There's a couple of ensemble members that take it over to phase 7, but there's nothing over here in phase 6 and 7 favoring the Western Pacific. That being said, look, well, you know what? I'm jumping, what do they call it? Jumping the shark? I forgot. I have a couple more things I want to show you before we go into, oh, look at this interesting thing. So let me backtrack and start over. Very favorable in phase 1, and then add to that, got ahead of myself, the fact that water temperature anomalies are still above normal where phase 1 would affect. And you notice in the tropical Pacific, this La Nina look, the cooling off over here off the coast of Mexico, and notably the cooling here in the southwest Atlantic. I am not concerned at all for any major impacts here in the southwest Atlantic coming from the Atlantic side any longer. Yes, you could still have some impacts. Don't read that the wrong way, but, you know, people sometimes hype things up for a big impact, and I got to be careful. We don't want to hype things up. Yay, we're off the hook. Not yet, but when you cool sea surface temperatures down this dramatically and this markedly, that's a big deal. And so, you know, anything develops over here, it's going to have a hard time becoming intense. Our focus, my focus, all this warm water relative to average in the Caribbean, still fairly warm in the Gulf. Yes, we could still have some major impacts. And Florida, the peninsula, I hate to remind you, but it's part of the educational process. You're more likely to have a major hurricane impact in October than you are in September. Believe it or not, it's true. Go back and look at the records. And typically what happens is they develop down here and they recurve across like this, or they come up into the Gulf like we saw with Michael, or maybe farther to the west like Nate, and others and others and others over time. So these are the anomalies, the departures from normal. Notice, yep, still above normal out in the main development region as well. And that's why we are going to end up with an above normal hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. I believe that's the case. And remember yesterday, I hope you wrote it down somewhere, I am predicting an ACE of about 150 by the time the season is over, and my over-under is 5. All right? So anywhere from 145 to 155, that's what I'm thinking. And looking at the upper ocean heat content, absolutely positively plenty of fuel in and around the Caribbean, the Gulf, elsewhere. And yep, there is still plenty offshore, but that's going to be hard. I mean, you'd have to have something, you know, coming along and kind of racing up the coast quickly, like Hazel did in 1954. Not out of the realm of possibility, but I'm worried less about these areas than I am about these areas over here. Usually by October, whoops, I bumped the mic, sorry. I don't know if that translated. I don't worry as much about Texas, not impossible, but this is the primary concern for me going forward in terms of U.S. interests. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, yeah, it's still very much hurricane season for you all as well. Now, back to this and my overjoyed excitement in showing you something that's meteorologically interesting. While the Madden-Julian oscillation is in phase 1 with no discernible MJO activity over here in the western Pacific, look at what the European is doing in the Westpac. And just to orient you, ooh, wow, there's a good pun. I did not do that on purpose. Just to orient you, here's Japan, all right, the Korean Peninsula, the coast of China, and Taiwan, all right, to orient you. Yeah, way to go. All right, that was truly not on purpose, but there you go. So there's your geography lesson. And let's outline Japan real quick, because this is important. And remember, Japan's not one island, right? It's several islands. And there's the Korean Peninsula right over here. And this is a disturbance in the force, right? It's the disturbance in the Westpac, where things have been really kind of slow lately. So this is the European, same model that we were showing for the Atlantic. This is the analysis. This is 24. It comes together quickly. 48 hours, headed, you know, this is the northern part of the Philippines. Again, there's Taiwan. And this thing, you know, coming around the backside of this high. Very similar to what we see in the Atlantic Basin. That's 48 hours. There's 72. Pretty formidable typhoon at that point. 96, very close to Taiwan. And then finally at 120, it's rounding the periphery of this big high-pressure area over the Westpac. And then from there, there's a range of options that this could take. If the ridging is, strong enough, I guess it could get driven into eastern China and head up towards the southwest side of the Korean Peninsula. Bottom line is this part of the Westpac in Asia there, and the Japan Korean Peninsula region, the Sea of Japan on the west side. I'm not used to talking about this area, as you can tell, but heads up. Now, from just the old, well, look, there could be a typhoon coming, you got to say, well, that's interesting because there's no MJO activity over there. And that just goes to show you don't always have to have the Madden-Julian Oscillation on your side to get something to develop. All right? So we'll be watching this closely. There are other disturbances trying to line up out here in a situation where it shouldn't be favored, but there you go. Westpac very low in their overall ACE score for the year. We will be keeping our eyes on this very closely. I know James Reynolds over there will be watching it as well. All right? So that's a look at the tropics. Not much happening in terms of impacts coming up. We're kind of in this in-between phase of watching Karen and that drama over the last several days and all the what could have been with that, and Lorenzo with the stage show that is putting on out in the open Atlantic, and what's happening in the Westpac. We got a lot to keep up with, but the real focus here that I want to make sure we stay with the spotlight on is the Western Caribbean and this sort of end game. I hate that word game because it sounds like we're trivializing things, but it's just a term. The end of the hurricane season as we know it. It goes through November, I get that, but the bulk of the activity usually happens by mid to late October, right? Yes, it does. So we have plenty of time to watch things, and hey, we still have a few days of September left to go. So there you go. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Sometime tomorrow, hopefully before I head to the beach with my daughter and my wife, I'm going to put together a video for our patrons that outlines sort of the next 6 months, but also I'll make this public. It's not just for patrons, explaining what we're doing with Patreon and the difference that it has made, because it has made a huge difference and it's going to make a big difference going forward. So I'm going to do that hopefully mid-morning tomorrow, as well as my usual video discussion on the tropics. So be looking forward to that. All right? Have a great rest of your Thursday. As always, I appreciate you tuning in more than you will ever know. It's awesome to have you on the other side of whatever screen you're watching and listening to me from. I appreciate you. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk with you some more tomorrow.